Hello, everyone. This is Gail Estella, and welcome to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Here's where we turn pain into purpose, because survival isn't a whisper, it's a roar. And before we get started, there's a couple of things I need you to do for me. The first thing is, will you please go in, like, share, and subscribe to the Gail Estella Survival Podcast? Where are you tuning in from? I'm here in Aiken, South Carolina. Put in the comment box below where you're tuning in from. Are you following me on all of my social media platforms? If not, please do so at Gail Estella. And lastly, Through It All by Gail Estella. Have you purchased your copy today? If you haven't, it's not too late. You can go to truevinepublishingcompany.org, Amazon.com, or anywhere books are sold. My guest for tonight, I met this gentleman about 45 years ago. That's a long time, y'all. And his story is of God's grace and God's second chances. And I can't wait for us to get into this conversation, because I know someone is going to be redeemed from it. And without further ado, I am going to introduce to you Mr. Carl Beard.
Good evening, everybody. Hey, Gail, that intro was amazing. I love that. See, you jumped in and mentioned that we've known each other for 45 years. So a lot of times in my mind, when I see you, I still envision that 17, 18-year-old young lady I met all those years ago.
I know.
And through life and through social media and through other things, I've watched you ascend, and it's been I've been on the journey with you. So
thank you. So that 17 or 18-year-old young lady, that was during your time at Benedict College, where you were this big basketball star. No. So tell us about those times at Benedict College, Mr. Beard.
Oh my God, I didn't know you were going to ask about that. Benedict College was a very, very, very pivotal time in my life as a young man. I grew, in a lot of areas at Benedict College. It was a great experience for me. A lot of people don't know this about me, but coming out of high school, I was a relatively small guy. Played all the sports, never made any of the high school, junior high basketball teams or whatever, but I kept playing, kept working on my craft, and then I went away to college and I had this huge growth spurt. And so I get to South Carolina after a couple of years at another school, Elizabeth City State University, and I'm this dude, I guess, physically and all that kind of stuff. So, but we'll talk about some of the other things that led me to be able to begin to believe in myself.
Yes.
And I think a lot of what God allowed to happen for me at that stage, I think I was like 19, maybe I was 19 or 20 when I came to Benedict College. Mm-hmm. So the growth spurt, the maturation physically and emotionally from some of the scars from when I was a little fella began to manifest itself in my life there. And when I met you and your best girlfriend at that time, who was my heart, but anyway, yours as well. I don't know if we're supposed to keep anonymity and not mention names, so I won't mention her name at this time, but very pivotal in my life. Those were some good times, Gail. That was times of innocence and youth, and just beginning to discover who we were, or who we thought we were at that time.
Thought we were, yes.
We wanted to be, and what we thought we were going to be, man. But God is amazing, man. Thank you
for referencing her, because
God,
that's how we met you. Through her. Through her. That's how we met you, through her. And you said a lot of things, Carl. You said the maturation, emotionally, physically, and growing into who you were at that time. Mm-hmm. So let's pivot back then. Take us to that little boy, Carl Beard, before he got to Benedict, and then we can move forward from that. What type young man were you growing up?
Oh God. Ooh, good. I was a mischievous little guy in a way. I was a little guy. I keep referring to that. And then I came up during a time in an era when being a dark-skinned male, or being dark-skinned in particular, it wasn't the cat's meow at that time. So as a young boy, growing up in New York, originally I was born in New York. My grandmother came from Augusta, Georgia when I was 3 months old to take me back to Augusta. My grandmother raised me for my first 7 years of my life, but my mom was always constant. My mom was a living maid. She came up back during that time when you were coming out of the South, matriculating to New York. She was able to, what they say, the old folks say, she was able to buy a job, meaning an agency that she paid them a fee to help her get a job. So my mom, she came to New York that way, and she birthed me, and my grandmother raised me again until I was about 7. So I was a relatively small guy, and I always jokingly tell people, Michael Jordan made it cool to be dark skinned again back in the 80s. But coming up during that time, being teased a lot, being told that you weren't smart enough, or because in our culture at that time we had this thing about skin tone and melanin and all that kind of stuff. So you and I kind of talked about this before, but we know where that comes from. So I'm gonna segue away from that and just try to stay focused on me. And in that same vein, I remember very distinctly at one time, I must have been in about 7th, 8th grade, maybe. No, about 6th grade. And there was this real pretty girl I used to like. Oh my gosh, she was a beautiful girl. And I won't call her name either. She's no longer with us. But so I decided to carry her books home from school this day. And I carried her books home, and we get to her home, and her mom opens the door and just goes off on me. I mean, she called me all kind of derogatory names. And needless to say, the young lady was much lighter than me. And so we called them red bones back in the day. But
yes.
Yeah. Anywho, so here I go, and we lived a little ways down the block from them, and I go home, and my mom just so happened to be home, and I got there that day, and I'm crying, I'm upset, and she's asking me what's wrong, and I told her what happened, and my mom marched me back down the street to this lady's house, and I won't get into all of that part, but it wasn't her. She didn't have her best day after my mom.
Didn't have the best day. So as a kid, 7th or 8th grade, so you maybe 12, 13, 14.
12, no, I was probably around 12 or 13.
Okay, 12 or 13.
So yeah.
Yeah, and you had been teased growing up until this point.
Yes.
And you said something about being told you weren't smart enough. Who told you that?
It was, and it's always, a lot of times it's us, kids. And I can't actually blame and say a teacher told me that I wasn't smart enough, because out of all of that, because I was so small, such a small guy, and one of my defense mechanisms was, as a kid, I didn't play outside a whole lot early on.
Yes.
I read books and things of that nature in my mind, and I went places, and I was able to do it. So when people were saying that stuff to me, I was reinforcing it through some of the books and stories and things that I would read and say, I still can do all that stuff. But yes.
That kid going to the parents' house, walking her home, and an adult saying these things to you. You've already been stigmatized. I would imagine you've already endured certain traumas that you might not have realized them to be traumas at that time. So what did that do to your confidence? What did that do to your self-esteem at that time? Because you were a kid.
Yeah, it's shattered, like everything. You're making me go back now, replay this in my mind. It really had a huge effect on me. But Gail, at that point in time when I got home and I began to go through this with my mom, and my mom went back and she checked the girl's mother, and we get back home, and my mama has always been the one to build me up.
Yes.
She would tell me, "You're a pretty black boy. You're gonna be this and you're gonna be that. You smart. You're the smartest kid in your class. Those same girls that won't talk to you today, one day they all gonna be chasing you." She always, and this is one of the things that I began practicing too as I gotten older and got a chance again in my children's lives, was to be positive, always speaking positive reinforcements into their lives. Mm-hmm. My mama was doing that back in 1969, 1970, when we didn't know as a church. Now we talk about positive reaffirmation, vision.
Affirming your children, affirming ourselves.
Yeah, May was doing that back then. You know what I mean? So it was amazing to have that type of support in place, and she was always, that was even to this day. My mom is 90 years old. When I see her, she'll still tell me, you was a pretty black boy. You gonna, So I said, Mama, I ain't pretty. I'm a grown man. No, you're a pretty black boy.
My baby.
My baby. I am the baby boy too. So
yes. So how important is it for parents to affirm their children, Carl?
It is extremely important. Now I can only speak from my perspective as a parent, what I got to impart. That's a whole nother part of my story too. Mm-hmm. But especially getting not custody, but getting my the opportunity to raise my youngest son, Carlos. I didn't get. I was scared to death, man. I had less than 6 months clean. I just got out of prison. Didn't really know.
And I don't want to cut you off. We're going to get to that.
You want to get there? Okay, so let me back out of that.
Let's take the audience through this journey to get to that part.
All right.
So you've gone through being bullied. I would say the word bully or picked on as a kid.
Yeah.
You get to Benedict. You've grown. By this time, you're not that little kid anymore. You're a tall, nice-looking black man. All the things that your mother said that you were going to be, and you're in college.
Yes.
So all her affirmations came into fruition.
They did.
How was your self-esteem then?
Oh, I had matured in so many ways. I got to a space where some people probably said I was cocky, conceited, and all that kind of stuff, but I was just confident. I was like, I know what I can do, or I believe that I can do. I believe that I can do anything. And that was, again, goes back to my mom, always pumping that in me no matter what. That was an amazing, growth pattern. So when I got there, I was very confident in myself and my abilities, and really and truly, at least I thought I knew who I was and what I wanted to do with my life.
You just said at least you thought you knew who you was and what did you want to do with your life.
Yeah.
So where did the trajectory change from the person that you were in college to the person that you were becoming?
From college, with all of the great things that were happening at Benedict College, really became, I guess I just be honest, sexually promiscuous. I fathered 3 children at Benedict College, three separate relationships, and but the spiral or the problems began after college, in terms of from addiction. And things of that nature. That all happened after college. Although I did what college students were doing back then. We smoked weed, we drank, we partied, I did those things. But even though, Gail, I did those things, I didn't realize that I had a problem. Even then, I had a problem. Because see, I had to be nobody was going to out drink me. Nobody was going to out smoke me. Being the competitor that I was, but didn't know I had this thing in me, this gene.
Yes.
As we get deeper into this and start to understand the DNA part of it, didn't realize I had that in me. And then after college, went in the military, joined the Army, and being a basketball player and doing the things that I did, I was able to do. I was able to play basketball in a military base in Germany. And from there, that's where, can you imagine turning loose now? I'm at this time, I'm probably 26 years old. And the age thing is because, anyway, 25, 26 years old, and I get to a military installation in the soda machines. You got all the beer and stuff you want. You can go to NCO club, alcohol, a mixed drink for 75 cents, and around I can't say all military bases. I'll just keep focused on Darmstadt military base. Folk outside the gates selling drugs. I mean, you could get whatever you want as you leave the base, come into the base. So I got exposed to some things that I've never really been exposed to. So, and it really, my addiction really took hold in the military.
And when you think about the military, I know when I think about the military, I think about structure. Mm-hmm. You know, you're getting up at a certain time, you're going to bed at a certain time, someone's telling you what to do. So all of those outside entities that you just talked about, that they just don't exist. So you're telling us, or telling me, that what I'm thinking is not true.
No. The structure and all of that in the military was there.
Yeah. Okay.
It's there. I mean, I was a product of that. I went through basic training. I did all those things. But at the end of the day, I was making decisions because, and I said this to some people in other venues and platforms I spoke on. I can't really just blame the military.
Yeah.
Outside of being putting me, again, I didn't know about this DNA thing that I had in me, in a space where it looked like, and then the other part, almost everybody that I hung out with in the military, they got high and smoking hash. All these things that I got into, and drinking. You go to work, whatever, and you get off at 5, and cats is, you at the soda machine. You ain't really even got to leave the base, to get started drinking. And so that big part, structure, yes, Gail, was all that. All those things were there. But at that point in time, as a grown man, I made decisions. There's one thing I love about God. He's such an awesome God. He gave us the ability to make decisions.
Make decisions.
Free will.
Free will. And with that free will, at what point did it start affecting your duties as a soldier? Or did it ever affect your duties?
It never affected my duties because wait a minute. Let me think about that, Gil. I played basketball. I played a lot of basketball on the post team, but I did have a job, it never really affected. Again, I'm smoking hash. I'm not smoking downers or opioids, even though there were places you could do that, but where something that would take me away from getting up in the morning, not be able to make it to work. That came later. That drug came later. But at this particular time, no, it didn't. And be mindful. Once you get in the Army at this time, if you were an athlete, just like kind of sort of like just being in college all over again for me, So you got some perks, you got some things, the ability to do some things, and So, and then I also was able to. I was playing for a professional team in Germany in the same locale where I was living at. So it was crazy. And shortly after that, I got married, and you mentioned talking about the job. The job didn't become a problem. It wasn't a problem for the job. It became a problem for my marriage.
For your marriage. So how old were you when you got married?
27, 28. 28.
About this time, you've already had 3 children.
I had 3 children already. Conceived at Benedict College. And
at this time, because you were getting paid every month, and I'm quite sure you were getting paid by being a professional player as well, were you financially taking care of your kids? Were you in your kids' life?
No, not really. I thank God for my sister, and I'm not saying this about anybody else. I can only speak from my experience. The fact of the matter, I believe that these first three children of mine were conceived on the college campus by women who were students first. And so I think that helped in them creating through my younger sister who passed a couple of years ago, creating a situation where the kids, my family knew them, all three of the girls and the children. So that was pretty big there. Yeah.
So their needs were being met.
Their needs were being met.
Their needs were being met. You get married.
Yes, get married.
Did she know about the drug use?
No.
No.
She probably knew because we went to college together. We was on Benedict's campus together. So she saw me pretty much every day. Knew we, smoking weed and drinking, doing those things, but didn't know I had accelerated or gravitated to different drugs.
So by this time, you said you got married. Was she in the army as well, in the military as well in Germany?
No, she came to Germany.
Okay.
She graduated from Benedict. Great student, should have been valedictorian in her class. Went to the University of Georgia, got her master's in social work, and we married in Philadelphia, which is where she was originally from. By the time I met her, her family had moved to Holly Hill, to the Vance Holly Hill area. So anyway, did that, and it took about 6 months with paperwork and all that to get my family to Germany. And then in that 6 month time, now because I got married, I moved off base.
Yeah. So you said family. She had a child by you as well. She was one of the baby's mothers.
Right. My oldest.
Okay.
Oldest.
The oldest. Okay.
The
oldest. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So your family moved to Germany. You moved off base.
But the thing really started to escalate when when they allowed me to move off base. Mind you, I go home, let's say I can't remember the month, and if Jackie watched this, she'll kill me. I can't remember the month we got married, but coming back to Germany, it was 6 months. Took about 6 months for paperwork and everything to get them there. But in that 6 months time, I was allowed to move off base. So I had even more free time, more time to get high and have the fellas come over. My house became the spot, as opposed to sneaking, trying to do it in the barracks and get high. But yeah, so that 6 month window, by the time my family did arrive in Germany, it was not good. It was not good.
So basically, she was walking into a situation that she had no clue about.
No clue.
How long did you stay married?
I want to say we stayed married probably about 11 years, maybe.
Oh, wow.
Because to stay in that lane about that, so they get to Germany. I'm traveling all over the place playing ball. We move off base. And then I failed yet another drug test. Didn't mention that early on, but during the time when I came into the Army, it was pre-mandatory drug testing. So when I got in basic at AIT, there was no drug testing. When I got to Germany, I want to say that was in 84, somewhere around in 84, Congress implemented, or the Army implemented, or military implemented mandatory drug testing. And so, tested positive the first time. I think they gave me an intervention class, but it was like a drug class, but everybody that tested positive, all the other fellow soldiers were in this class with you. I think it was a 90-day program. You went every day through some counseling stuff. But anyway, so we did on base, and it may not have been every day, but I know it was at least once or twice a week. And so I went through that, and then when my family came shortly after they got there, tested positive again. And so then I was court-martialed. Court-martialed out of the Army, got an under than honorable discharge. Didn't give me a dishonorable, which is another part of my story down the road. Again, I begin to see the grace that God has had over my life.
Yes.
He allowed not to happen.
The dishonorable, yes.
So with that, and then it was time for me to leave, to go home, go back home. So we get orders, get paperwork. We leave Germany. get back to South Carolina because they had me set up the ETS or end time of service at Fort Jackson. And they gave me some money. And this is where it all really, began to really manifest itself. So I tell my wife when we were in Columbia, because our plans were, we were going to get out, go to Dallas, live with my brother for a little while and begin this new life.
Yeah, new life. Drug-free, everything is going to be beautiful, wonderful. The past is behind.
Yeah. But the enemy had another plan.
Yeah.
So we get to Fort Jackson. I give her half of the money, probably mostly all of the money. And then I had a son from Benedict that was in Charleston. Hadn't seen him in a few years. So I tell my wife and my daughter, get them to her mom's house down in Vance, Holly Hill. I'm going to Charleston for a few days. I come back, we'll catch the flight, and we're going to Dallas for a few days. My Charleston experience was just crazy. Got deeper into using drugs. That what was supposed to have taken me a few days ended up taking me about a month or two to come back to get my family. About 2 months. So when I get to her mom's house, quite naturally, she didn't want to have anything else to do with me. She was done. She began to see the handwriting on the wall. So she wouldn't even come to the door. Wouldn't even allow me in the house. So I had to make other arrangements to get to Dallas. And I ended up going to Texas.
I want to go back. Mm-hmm. For the person that's watching, if they're experiencing an addiction or someone that they love or know that's experiencing an addiction, you said something really profound. You felt that if you went to a new place, mm-hmm. everything would be better. We would be able to start over. Mm-hmm. And the 12-step program speaks of people, places, and things, and then we can't run from our addiction because it doesn't matter where we go. We bring our addiction with us. Gail, that's part of my testimony. I've lived in 8 different states in 20-something different countries. And every time I pack my bags to move, because then when I get over here, man, I'm going to be this car salesman. I'm going to kill him. I'm going to do all this. I'm going to stay clean. But I forgot that I was packing me in the bag with me, taking me with me. Because I hadn't killed that spirit, that thing that was in me yet. So everywhere I went, I took me with me. Good, and that's it. Everywhere we go, we take us with us, the good, the bad, the ugly, until we heal or learn how to heal, began to heal. Yeah. So your wife walked away when you came back. That was her turning point to walk away.
Yes, that's probably the best.
Good for her. Do you agree?
Yeah. Oh, I just said that's probably was the best decision she
Okay. I didn't hear that part. Yeah.
And God played a huge part in that. And I've shared this with her. You didn't get to see a lot of the degradation, a lot of things that ended up happening to me nor did my daughter firsthand face it, hands on and see it, because God gave you that thing that he gives women. It's called discernment and wisdom to make that decision that, hey, this ain't working for me. Let me go ahead on and go. God, he, again, throughout my life, he's always shown up, even when I didn't think he was showing up. Mm-hmm. He showed up.
She also had the strength and the confidence to walk.
Yes, she did. And she was, so if I was 28, Jackie would have to have been 26. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she was young,
to walk away with the baby.
Child.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so you lose your marriage. Mm-hmm. Did that cause your addiction to spiral more out of control?
That's just me. It's just me. I ain't got to worry about nobody else. So, I can go and just do me. The addiction began to take on a life all of its own. Mm-hmm. Now, be mindful, the 12-step program also tells us, Gail, that this disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And it doesn't always manifest itself right away. Mm-hmm. So I had some years of a professional functioning addict.
Mm-hmm.
Years of making really good money, selling cars and doing some things, yet still using, and some probably about 5 or 6 years, or 5 or 6 years into my addiction, before it really took hold and became, began to control my whole life. Walked away from, left jobs, relationships, all kinds of stuff. It's a lot in this story that's packed. And as I'm talking,
what did that look like for you? Because you said leaving jobs, relationships.
Mm-hmm.
At what point do you feel that you were at your lowest during your addiction? Because you've always looked good. You've always dressed the part because you look very nice this morning. That's why I knew I had to put on a blazer today, because you were going to be dressed nice. So at what point did you begin to start looking at yourself in the mirror and realize that your physical appearance was declining and everything else around you was declining?
Well, we'd have to fast forward to probably 2003. I progressed from all of that other stuff to being, find myself homeless on the streets of Detroit, eating out of garbage cans, living under a freeway for about 3 years. Now here I am, this supposed to be athlete, college graduate, all those things, and I'm just as destitute as a man with a third grade education that's smoking crack. So, the disease does not discriminate. It'll take you any way you're willing to come to it, it'll take you. So from there, I had an experience through a friend, a really, really good friend of mine, who began looking for me. And I had contact through my oldest daughter, the one that we were talking about when I was married to her mom. At that time, and I want to say Nicole she had Autumn, just her first child. And she was married. So I would always, even to this day, we talk on a regular basis. But back then it was once a week. Every week I would call from a payphone, call her collect in Atlanta. Her and her husband would accept the call and we would talk, and they quite naturally, they send me a little money here and there, best they could. And so I went through that for a few years. And then one of my friends from college, one of my best friends, Raymond, began to inquire about me. And he went to my ex-wife, Jackie, at the time. They were a member of the same alumni club in Atlanta. And so she told him, I don't talk to Carl, but Nicole talks to her dad, on a regular basis. You probably need to reach out to her. So he did, and every time during my conversations with my daughter, I always told her I never wanted to talk to anybody. If anybody else get on the phone, I would hang up. So I was the only person that really knew I was alive and doing well was her. I hadn't spoke to my mom, and talked to my siblings, none of that. During this 3-year hiatus. Being in the pits of my pit. Anyway, Raymond, he finally makes contact with Nicole, and through him keep trying, he ended up getting me on the phone to talk to me. And he told me about a friend of his that lived in the city that I live in now, in Sumter, who owned a car dealership and needed some help. And he probably would help me, help get me to Sumter. And so I fought that for a few months. And then finally I allowed, Raymond and Vernon's the guy's name here to help me to get here. Yeah, when I got here, I rode a bus. When I got to Sumter, South Carolina in 2003, I was probably about maybe 180, 190 pounds.
I want to go back before we get into that part, because you said for 3 years, being homeless, being destitute, living on the streets. What was that like? Because a lot of times when we see, homelessness, we judge the people that are there. And a lot of times we feel that it's their fault or that they could do better. What was that like for you, knowing, like you said, that you were the college athlete, you had a degree, that you're intelligent, you had all these great things going for you, but your addiction had reduced you to that. So talk about how powerful addictions are and how powerful addictions can be for the person that may not really understand how powerful it is to have an addiction.
Drugs, thing that I know, that I've experienced, that will make a person leave everything behind that they know, that they believe in. And I want to say, I know in the 80s, the crack cocaine epidemic was just, it was crazy. It was a crazy time. I've seen some things in my addiction, during my addiction in the Detroit area that I can't even, never really even talk about. You know, it is, and especially it's a very humbling disease of when you watch a woman go through the disease of addiction in the streets. Mindful, most women that have gotten to that stage, and men too, but I'm just going to, it hits them faster and harder because as a man, you can physically sometimes get out and hustle and get money. And as a woman, you can too. But for the most part, the drug has reduced a lot of the women to the belief that the only thing they have is to offer to get paid from is themselves. And so I've watched it do some horrendous things, but putting it back.
And let me say this, because of me, I think what was my saving grace is the fact that I had employment, that I got paid every day.
Right.
That I was able to fund my addiction.
Yeah, and so Gail,
and that was the only thing, Carl.
I believe it. But here again, let me backpedal a little bit. Not all women, just like not all men. I too, and I call that, and I mentioned it earlier, I was a functioning addict, and you were functioning as in your profession, but in your personal life, your addiction was kicking you around.
It was taking over.
Because you had the fallback of employment, you were able to, quote unquote, not hit rock bottom. To what to the level of everybody.
I still hit, but to that level. Yeah.
Everybody's bottom is different.
It is.
So your bottom was your bottom, and you were able to come back from that through whatever means that you did, and that's your story to tell. I won't tell it because I don't really know all of it. But for me, it was addiction. Drugs is the disease of addiction is real. It's still yet alive. The enemy is still yet stalking to and fro, looking for whom he can devour. And it has taken me places. Lived in 8 different states, 20 some odd different countries. Everywhere I lived, I used drugs. And until 2003, now I don't know if you want me to fast forward to this part.
Yes, we can, but I do want to say one thing.
Yes.
Because you said you've experienced some things that you don't like to think about.
No, so not that I don't like to think about. Some things that I can't really discuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
when you say can't discuss it because of the trauma that it brings, or
no, not so much the trauma that it brings, because of if I discuss it, depending on who's watching the podcast.
I understand.
You'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, so I understand.
The anonymity piece, and then there's some really gruesome, some bad things that I've seen. So
yes,
we want to keep it.
Yeah. So let me ask you this before we fast forward to your sobriety. Was there ever a time, because the suicide rate is so prevalent right now for Black men, Was there ever a time that you felt like committing suicide?
Yeah. Oh man, that's crazy. I was living in Lexington, Kentucky. And this was another one of I had so many bottoms, but this time I had sold all the furniture and everything. I was selling cars, still quote unquote kind of functioning. Sold everything I had in my house. I was relocating. I was going to be relocating in South Carolina, as a matter of fact, Gail. Had met someone, a woman, who had allowed me to hoodwink and bamboozle her and believing I was getting ready to be this, whatever I was supposed to do for her. Was willing to help me and come to Lexington and get me and bring me to Columbia. But I'm sitting there one night, and I sold everything. I'm sitting there with drugs, with crack and cocaine and some liquor, and got a pistol, and I'm being honest, sitting in the room butt naked, sweating. I'm just and wanting to kill myself, but I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I was so frustrated. I couldn't do it. God, He would not allow me to do it. And I shared this a little bit more graphically on some other platforms, but it was bad. It was bad. That was a bad time for me. Yeah. And the young lady still came. I got through that night to the next morning, and they came, and it's a whole nother story. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole other story, because then we could talk about us as women, how we want to be the fixer. So,
you want to be, yeah.
We don't have enough time to talk about us being the fixer.
And Gail, to the addict or to the person to the man that you think you get ready to fix, that's what we looking for. We looking for you. Where you been all my life, woman? Come on in here. You don't know what the hell you finna go through with me.
So let me ask you this though before we move on.
Yes.
Is there this elf walking around on our chest that you see? How do you know who's the right candidate for the job?
You know, and I share this with my daughters. I'm going to give you something here. Women tell a man, a lot of women, when you meet a man, y'all give up too much, you give too much information. You give a man, a hunter, all the ammunition and how to go about hunting you. You tell him everything. You tell him everything your ex did. You tell him everything he didn't do. You tell him, you're so transparent, and you're so loving, and you want to rescue. You have this nurturing nature that you want to nurture and raise this man again and help him, that you give all the ammunition. You tell everything. So you make it easy for the predator, the wolf, to get to you, because you've told him everything, that all the bad. So here I got it. Oh, so he did this, that, didn't do this, that, and third. So I need to do this. Or he treated her such and such a way. So although I may not have the resources or to do it, but I can give you the impression that I'm doing it. You know what I mean? Because you're so wanting it, you've opened yourself up to it right out the gate. And so in general, a lot of times, Gail, in those scenarios, those situations, it happens fast. It happens fast. We talking for a week or 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I don't move in. You move me in. You know, you going through the want ads and things just back in the day, looking for jobs for me that I should be looking for.
Been there, done that.
Yeah, you're doing all the legwork. You're doing it all. You know, I want to save this man. And here's the other part, and I share with a lot of women. Once you really learn and I've heard you say this, Gail, once you really learn to love yourself and learn and get to know who you really are and have those things set aside and begin to use that gift that God gave you, the discernment gift, a lot of times you'll do a whole lot better when it comes to this part of what we're talking about. You know, you already know in your heart of hearts that I can't do nothing with this joker, but I'm trying this ninja. I can't do nothing with this ninja, but I love him so. You know, Yeah. Love
And
yourself.
I see the good in him.
Or he's not going to do to me what he did to her.
Yeah,
I ain't gonna
that's
allow
hard
him,
too.
you know, and that's a big one.
I'm
So,
special.
ooh,
Yeah.
I used to like them ones that were
Yeah.
so.
Let's fast forward. You're on that bus ride to Sumter, South Carolina.
I'm on the bus. I get on the bus in Detroit. I'm about 190 pounds. I've been out in the street probably for a couple of months. I never forget, I had on a sweatsuit, some old beat up Nike Air Force Ones, and it was in the wintertime when I never forget that it was in the wintertime. So I had all this plastic and stuff inside my sweatsuit and stuff. Had afro, hair all over my face. I'm telling you how bad I knew I smelled. I rode from Detroit to Sumter. I made probably about 6 or 7 stops at layovers. The whole time I was on the bus, nobody was sitting next to me. Yeah.
Did you realize why at the time?
Oh, I knew.
Okay.
I would stink. You know? Yeah. But I just made a decision. All these things that has happened, transpired in my life so far, I'm making decisions.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And I didn't even realize that at this stage, God began to allow me to begin to make some better decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So I get to Sumter. Vernon picks me up at the bus station, immediately takes me home, actually took me shopping, got me a few little things. And so that part of the transformation, it began. I lived in his home with him and his stepmom for about 5-6 months. And then he moved me out to a trailer that he owned out a little bit out in the country. And everything was going good. Remember now, I unpacked myself and I'm coming to Sumter, but forgot I still got this guy in me. And unbeknownst to me, the gentleman that brought me here was dealing with some issues of his own. And I was right back in the zone and didn't know the south side of Sumter, never been here, didn't know at that particular time it was drug haven.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, just what I left in Detroit, I walked right back into it in Sumter. And at that point in time, I did good for the first, like I always do, first 6 months. I abstained, stay away, don't get high, working, doing my job, selling cars, turn his place around, doing what I do. But at the same time, the disease took over again. So I began to get tickets and driving on suspended license, driving with no license, all those things. And the state of South Carolina is the only state in the United States that I know of where you can go to prison for driving on suspended license. So I was sentenced to prison. And you asked, when did it all start? The transformation began. That was this is the last time I had contact with law enforcement. It was in 2005. I went to prison, but prior to going to prison, I was at the jail, and the Holy Ghost really began to deal with me. Wow. I had my own Paul experience, my own Damascus, sitting in the day room with about 200 or some other men. God just began to deal with me, Gail, and I'm praying and I'm telling God, I said, God, I can't do this anymore. 49.
Did you have a relationship with God prior to all of this?
We all have had a relationship with God. Somebody in our family introduced us to God. Somebody, Big Mama, your mama, somebody took you to church. I was raised in the church. Mm-hmm. And then I was eventually raised, I didn't get into all of that with you, raised in a 2-parent household after my mom came back from Augusta and got us. But fast forwarding to where I'm at now, I'm sitting there on this pod, man, on this iron table, crying, and I'm telling God I can't do this no more. And what I'm getting ready to share with you is probably the most poignant and most important thing that ever happened in my life. I told God, I said, God, if you would take away the obsession and compulsion for me to use drugs, I'll go do whatever you tell me to do. God spoke back to me. He said, Carl, come on, man. And see, this is how I talk to God. Now, I ain't one of them ministers and preachers that gonna give you the huck of a shot and all that bucking around. No, I talk to God just like I'm talking to you. And I told him, I said, man, I can't do this no more. He said, Carl, we've been through this so many times. Every time you go to jail, I clean you up get back out, you right back out smoking crack. What's going to be this time? Different this time. I said, God, if you would take away the obsession and compulsion for me to use drugs, I'll go wherever you tell me to go. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. God said, no, son, you told me that lie before. What's going to be different this time? And Gail, from the moment I made this covenant with God, I want to get ready to share with you till today, I sit here talking to you on the phone. He removed all the obsession and compulsion for me to use drugs. I said, God, if you would take away the obsession and compulsion for me to use drugs, I'll go wherever you tell me to go. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And I'll do whatever you tell me to do. And I will preach your word. That moment to right now, I've never had another desire to use drugs because I knew that I had been called to preach. Mm-hmm. I knew that because from some other life experiences and things that happened in my life that I didn't get to share with you, but I knew it. And so from that moment to today, and so what happened is in that
how many years has that been? How many years of sobriety do you have now?
2005 to now, but I don't usually count the incarceration time because, but I even though my sponsor tells me I should. So let's say 25 years. 25. But I just, in my mind, in the fellowship, I just celebrated 21 years in this past April 7th.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah. So there's some more to that. So in that, going to prison 3 times, the first 2 times I went, I called a female that I used to get high with here or something to come and pick me up. She would do it, pick me up. And as I'm leaving off the grounds of the facility, she done brought me a crack pipe. She done brought me some crack. So I'm laying on the back seat of the car and I'm smoking as we leaving the facility. But this last time after the covenant, when I went to prison, I got involved with prison ministry. Got involved with chaplain. I got involved with a program called Narcotics Anonymous, Behind the Walls, and so I got involved with those things. And so because I was progressing faster and had all these great things I was doing, they made a decision they're gonna send me home early. But this time, instead of calling that young lady to come pick me up, I didn't call her. I let them put me in the little tan pants and blue shirt and the little raggedy shoes they give you and put me on the bus. I made contact through the chaplaincy service with a place called the Oxford House, where they would give me a place to stay. I began to, and then on my way in, some of the guys that I met behind the walls in the Narcotics Anonymous program was from Sumter, and they was telling me about this little blue house where they had meetings at every day. So I began to allow God to do a new thing in me, because I'm supposed to be different. And I'm telling these guards as I'm leaving, I'm gonna come back. They're talking about, we'll see you again, Beard. I said, yeah, you will see me again, but I won't be an inmate when I come back in here. I'm coming in. I told them, I'm coming in here to get your job. So I went through all of that, and God just began to do a work in me, through really, really surrendering and understanding and knowing that I had a problem. But see, Gail, prior to all of this, I've probably been to 15 different drug rehab programs, halfway houses. I mean, just all over the country, doing what I wanted to do, doing what I thought I was supposed to be. Well, I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing, but just doing it anyway. So when I got here and I started in that vein, didn't have a job, didn't have a vehicle, had no real relationship with my children, but I got into the fellowship and I began to really work the program. And so one of the big things that I wanted to rush out and do was work on my step where I go and ask everybody to forgive me.
The amends, yes.
Yeah, my amends. But my sponsor, I'm 3 years in and 2 years in. No. I'm almost a year in, but he won't let me do it. Right. Because he says, Carl, I don't think you're ready for the rejection. He said, you got this thing in your head. You believe everybody loves you and everybody gonna want to forgive you.
It's gonna be okay, baby. We forgive you. We're so happy for you. It's okay.
Yes. So he didn't allow it to happen. But now I can talk to you about this other part. I'm 6 months.
I want to go back real quick.
Okay.
You said something about surrendering.
Yes.
How important is it for us to surrender our will, our way, our life?
I can only really speak for me. I always try to keep the focus on me.
Okay.
Being as confident, as arrogant, as conceited as I was, that was, and again, it was a big part. It's a big piece, Gail. That is possibly the most important part of change, and begin to really want to work on you. Surrendering to me means that I had to not only admit that I had a problem with drugs, but I had a problem with me.
Yes.
You know, I really wasn't really liking me. That Michael Jackson had a song, was probably the most poetic and strongest song he ever made. That Man in the Mirror.
Man in the Mirror.
You can't lie to that man in the mirror, that woman in the mirror, that reflection that's looking back at you. Because he knows, they know. They know where all the ghosts, they know where all the bodies buried, they know. So you can't lie to, you can, but you're not going to get where I believe God really intends for you to be. Because once I can admit to me and to that, then I can begin to get into the Word of God and really begin to understand how I can surrender to Him. That was it for me. Like really not make them foxhole prayers like, God, if you get me out of this one this time. No, Ninja. Like really, like, yo, man, I can't do it no more, man. I'm done. Do with me what you would do with me. I'm giving my life back to you.
Yes.
That was so powerful for me. Then He made a way for me. Also in that prayer time, one of the prayers I prayed was, God, please give me another opportunity to raise one of my children. I don't know how you're gonna do it. And I told somebody else this a few days ago, Gail, God has never, ever not answered my prayer when I asked for something. I asked that, I prayed. So here I am, 6 months clean, 6 months out of prison. Ain't got a pot to pee in, a window to throw it out of. I'm in a halfway house. I get a phone call from my youngest son's oldest sister in Louisville, Kentucky, telling me her mom had died. And what do you want to do about Carlos? Now, mind you, I'm also in this process at the halfway house. I met this man. I ended up getting a job. I met this man, sell him and his wife a car. And he's a pastor of a little small church. So I become a member of this church, Abundant Life Kingdom Ministries. And this brother has been such a powerful, not just pastor, but a friend in my life. That so when I got the news and I went to pastor, I was like, man, I don't know how to do. I ain't got nothing. And so I'll show you how God is now, how you line this thing up. He had just met his soon-to-be wife, and his wife had got married. He was living he had his own bachelor pad, so he moved in with her, but he had a whole apartment full of furniture. So Gail, he says to me, Carl, don't worry about it. You can do this. So a lot of people telling me, well, send him home to your mama and your sister. And this, he said, no, man, you can do this, man. You can raise this boy. You prayed and asked God for this. You can't do that. We gonna figure it out. So anyway, I get with the guy that brought me here. He had some houses. He rented me a house for a couple $100 a month. Now, mind you, this is one of the same houses that I used to go and get high in. He rented me. Soot all over the city. It was filthy. But because of the relationship that I made when in the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous, when I surrendered, there were a lot of brothers in my home group who were carpenters, who were contractors, and a lot of women that worked cleaning services. So the fellowship put their arms around me and they helped me turn this house, this dilapidated house, into a home for me and my son. Now I haven't even gotten to the part where I go to the funeral and I tell his sister, I'm not going to bring Carlos back with me now. I want him to finish this school year, then I'll come back and get him. Now mind you, Gail, I'm riding a 10-speed. I don't have a car. Just got a job. Things have started falling in place, and I'm still only like 6, maybe 7 months clean. I'm still battling addiction. Now I find a place to live, and God allows me to go right back down into Sodom and Gomorrah. So, but here's that part about just totally selling out and surrendering to God, and the redeeming part of Him, that kind of like you put me right back in the lion's den. Mm-hmm. But when you put me there, you sent me back there for a reason.
And what was that reason?
To show me first and foremost who He was in my life, and also to be a witness for somebody else. That man, if he did this for a dope fiend like me, he'd do the same thing for you, dog. But you gotta, they tell us in the fellowship, you want what we have, you gotta be willing to do what we had to do to get it. So are you willing to do those things? So anyway, I go get my son after get out of school, and I didn't know nothing about being a parent. I really didn't. Through trial and error, one of the things when he got here, just like me, he's a little dark-skinned boy, and he talked funny because he come from Kentucky. So he began to, in ninth grade, 10th grade, but he's making friends. And so me not really knowing all of what I'm doing, I made it a point where his friends, because I don't know these people. I don't know your mom. I could ask you, but the boys come to my house. Y'all come to my house. And through that little thing right there, being with him, and I had, at one point in time, I was able to have my oldest son with me for a while, for a few years in Kentucky. And it was bad because I was caught up in my active addiction. He saw a lot of things he shouldn't have seen. And one of the things I told God when He gave me the second chance, I promise you, I'm gonna do this right. I'm gonna get this right this time. And so I did some things with Carlos that I didn't do with Carl, and it's just amazing the manifestation and how his life has turned out today. But so I went through all of that, not knowing how to be a parent, to inviting the boys to my house, and then we would go out to the parks and play ball. And so what morphed from that, it came into existence, my boys mentorship program. Through basketball, I had the first boys AAU basketball program here in the city of Sumter. We won so many Parks and Rec championships, but I was using the tool of basketball, and I began to impart some things into not only my son, but these other boys. Their moms, all of them come from single parent households. So they're begin to see transformation in their boys. It's yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. They're doing things different. They go into bed because these are the things that these boys practically began to live in my home with me and my son. It's about 9 of them. And I always joke, on any given day, I come home and be 9 or 10 stinking teenage boys in my house. But in that part, I began to mentor and work with these boys and get them on through. And God just did from that mentorship program with the boys. I would say out of Carlos's crew, one of the big things I told them all, that the mothers loved them so much being in my house. This is back when food stamps was a piece of paper. No, that wasn't a piece of paper. It was a card. They were sending the boys, bringing the boys to me and bringing food, because I'm cooking every day. It was just an amazing time in my life to watch God do what He was doing. So we did that for several years, and from that became the Lazarus House, my nonprofit organization, and it's just, I don't know where you want me to go with this.
For the sake of time, I hear all of these great things, and you titled this Redeem.
Yes.
So I'm listening to the redemption aspect of it. Everything that was taken away, God gave it back. And not only did He give it back to you, He gave it back in the overflow that you would be able to pass it on to someone else. And a lot of times we don't understand why we go through some of the things that we go through.
Yes.
But for a time as this, what you just told us about. That a person can look at you and you could tell your story. And it's something you said, I want you to tell the audience. You said something about, because you remarried and you got a divorce, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And it's something you said. I asked you, were you dating? And you said, Gail, when I meet women, I tell them my story. You talk about that part. Tell the audience what you told me.
I'm going to probably.
When you meet women and you tell them your story, allow them to shy away from your transparency.
Oh, yes. Again, because at my age, so I'm telling myself, I just turned 68. So when you, and in my dating pool, if I'm interested in dating, and I have grown daughters, so they put some stipulations in there. But anyway,
not too young.
Not too young. 55 or better, Dad. That's it. I'm being transparent, even probably more transparent than I am here today with what I'm sharing. But I'm sharing everything, good, bad, and ugly, and a lot of times, and I go pretty much my story from where I was to where I am to what God is doing and this, that, and the third. And I don't know. Women, a lot of women say they want the truth. And a lot of people, men too. But can you really handle the truth? Can you really handle my truth? Can they really handle your truth? Can folk really look past the mask or the image that they see, the physical, and really get to want to know you for you, for your heart? And I found it to be in this dating now. It's really difficult. It's really difficult. I don't know what. I'm not gonna get on here trying to be Steve Harvey and be CLO and all that kind of stuff. But I've had some experiences. I really don't know exactly what women are looking for today, especially women that are in their 60s. You know, for me, I share this too, Gail. My life's been like a basketball game or sporting event. In my early years, is the beginning of the game, all this energy, right, I'm gonna go do this, I'm killing it, doing all this, doing everything. Come to the middle part, the second half of the game, which is now in my life, fourth quarter. For me, it's about winning time. And I want to win, man. And God has been so amazing in my life, and He's allowed me to have and do so many different things and rebuild relationships with my children and my grandchildren and my great granddaughter, and to like now wanting to be, and truly, and I told you this the other day, I really want to be married again. Not necessarily looking for a girlfriend. Too old. I mean, I guess you got to start somewhere. Okay, all right.
And you know, when we had that conversation, there are a couple of things I thought about. And you said it earlier. You said a lot of times we as women, we tell too much too soon. And so maybe it could be that you're being a little transparent, a little too early, too soon, instead of allowing them to know the man that you are now.
So I'm glad you
said that. To see who you are now.
I'm glad you said that, because I just, since you and I spoke, I didn't share it. I don't know if I did, but I had met someone and I was transparent to a point, but not to the place where I took that approach. And then when I shared everything, it was a problem, because it was like you basically telling me I was withholding information.
Okay.
I wasn't totally truthful. You know, so kind of like dang if you do, dang if you don't. Yeah. So what I said was, I told God, I said, God, you know what? Look here, man. My pick a bad, dog. My pick a bad. I need you to pick the one for me.
Yes.
Make it plain. Show me, you know, so I can see that she sees me as you see me. Yes. You know, so I'm done picking. I'm done trying to find this mate. And you know something else, Gail, and I think I mentioned this to you, how happy I am for you in your marriage and your husband.
Thank you.
finding your person.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Or in your case, allowing him to find you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just, and as I said that, I was thinking, and I don't know everything, but I'm sure, even for me, and I'm putting this back on me, I have to let go of everything and everybody else prior to the woman that he's going to send me. I think for her to really be, for him to make her known to me, or for you know, and I guess as a woman you have to do that so you can so the man that God has for you can find you.
Mm-hmm. And I had to go through the same thing. You know, I had to question God, who would want me, you know, because I had held myself to this. I minimized myself, my own self-worth. And once God freed me, I had to be truthful to who I am and what I am. And either you come along with me or you don't.
Yeah.
And either way, I'm going to still be.
And either way it go, I'm going to be all right.
I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. And it's another thing I want you to think about, too, that came to me. A lot of times when we've lived life, we've undergone our own traumas. And sometimes when people tell us the things that they've experienced and the situations that they've encountered, sometimes we're re-traumatized because we're not completely healed from the traumas that we have experienced. So there's a lot of ways to look at it, but I still think transparency is real. Transparency is good. Transparency is being authentically you.
Yes.
So don't come anything short of who you are.
And in that, I'm going to bounce right back to the trauma part you was talking about. And a lot of men don't do this, but I with my second wife and I were attempting to get back together. One of the things she did suggest when we were married prior to divorcing that we do some counseling, but I was adamantly against doing the counseling. But the second time around, when her and I were talking and stuff, I took on, I said, okay, yeah, let's do that. I'll do it. I'm willing to do it in order to try and see if we can make this marriage work again. Although we weren't able to make it work again, but the counseling part, I found out like, yo, you ain't got to be this big tough cat, especially black men, where you can't confide and just like get honest with another human being, somebody else, and seek some professional help. So I still see the counselor to this day. For me, it has really been a godsend through doing some counseling, really spending some time in the Word of God. And here's the other part for me, surrounding myself with like-minded people that are, we talk about people, places, and things will get you high. People, places, and things that also help you ascend in life.
Yes.
If you put yourself around the right people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about I want to be married and this, that, and third. So I guess what I did, it kind of happened through osmosis, but mostly all of my friends who are married and been married for a long, long time have really, really the men have become really, really close to me in the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm spending a lot more time around married couples. Successful, yeah, everybody got ups and downs in their marriages and stuff, but yet they done stuck together for 40 years, 30 years. 20 years, so I'm a firm believer in that too. We attract certain things to us based on how we live it.
Yes. Yeah. This has been good. A couple of questions before we close.
Yes.
Have you had the opportunity to go back and make those amends?
Good. I love you, Gail. You're a real professional, girl. You work like I like that because I sure wanted to talk about that. Yes. I went back, and I have 4 kids, 4 different relationships. So as the young people say, 4 baby mamas. Never had any drama, thank God. And so I went to each one of them. One I told you about getting custody of my youngest son back in my life. But I went to each one of my children independently and separately. And I told them this. I said, I asked them to forgive me for 35 years of not being in their lives. letting them know I cannot go back and change anything I didn't do for you or anything that I did do to you. But what I can promise you from this day forward, that I will be the best father to you and even the greatest grandfather to any children that you may have. I made that covenant with them, and I made that covenant with them and God. And to this day, I've really, really held true to that fact. Part of the process of them accepting me was a big part of me really totally surrendering to the 12-step program, because my kids got to a place, my family got to a place where, Gail, for the first 9-10 years of sobriety, I made a meeting every day, 365 days. No matter where I was, I made a meeting. My kids, my mom, my family, from 7:30 to 9 o'clock every night, my family knew where I was. They knew where I was. And my children, because of that, and then seeing, and I thank God for social media. Social media has really, even though it wasn't as, I think it was MySpace and all that other stuff back then. But it helped my kids be able to see through pictures and things that I was doing. And I did a similar program like this. I think I mentioned to you in our conversation back in 2010. But they were able to see physically the transformation, redemption in me and their dad. And I have 2 girls, 2 boys, and my girls are really truly daddy's girls. If you saw my children and me, or you saw the 4 of them together, you would honestly believe they're raised in the same household. You would honestly think I was the Eldridge Cleaver, the best dad ever, by the way they love on me.
And they're all doing well.
And they're all doing very well in their own lives and with their families and their children. And I'm going to lead this along with my oldest daughter, the one that was in Germany with me. She created and got into the world of social work, and where her reasoning for working with substance abuse, in the field of substance abuse. She told me, and this broke me. She told me, she said, Daddy, because I asked her one time why she chose social work, because her mom's a social worker. My sister, her aunt, who she's very close with, a social worker, but she's taking it to the level of like the doctoral level of it. And I asked her why she did that. She said, Daddy, I never want to see another girl go through what I went through without having a father in their life. Gail, that tore me up. But she is her. She is her. And
I love it.
I'm proud of all of them.
Have you forgiven yourself?
Yes. Yeah. But it's not like I could say I forgave myself and that was it. Sometimes, Gail, I have to reaffirm.
Yes.
Forgiving myself. Sometimes I have to forgive myself again and again. Because I think for me, once I got into the Word of God and got into ministry, I didn't want to be one of those ministers or where I could allow the Word of God and the way I was living, attempting to live, trap me. And what I mean is, I ain't gonna never be all that holy. I'm always gonna make mistakes, and I'm always gonna be seeking God for forgiveness.
Yeah.
And before I go to Him for forgiveness, I have to get right with me. That man in the mirror, look, man, boy, you jacked up, boy, you messed up.
Yeah, that was right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear honesty as well.
That's big for me, Gail. Because I lied for so long and so well. And that's like I told you when we talked the other day, a lot of people cannot really handle the truth. I remember back when I was running the streets trying to juggle multiple women, whole other story. But that was hard work. Yeah. Because you're lying. I'm trying to date 3 or 4 different women. I'm lying to everybody. And man, go ahead on with that. I can't do that. I'm too old for it. And so I'm a real straight. I thought I was a straight shooter when I was younger, and you know, but today it's, man, listen, I'm gonna give it to you straight. I'm gonna give it to you, no chaser. I'm gonna give it to you. I
have two more questions for you.
Yes.
What does redemption means to you?
Wow, redemption means I've been afforded, because of God's grace and His mercy, the opportunity to live again, to have everything that His Word says that I should be able to have. And for me, one of the main parts of me, when I got clean and began this journey, really my big thing was to have my children be a part of my life and to have them be proud of me. Yeah.
Are you proud of you?
I am, but not so to the point where I'm like cocky with it, you know?
No.
I'm grateful. I'm really grateful. I'm humbled every time I think about my life and where I was to where I am. You know, and it helps keep me in check. Because, you know, like just saying, I'm just one hit away. If I make that decision,
yes,
I want to see if it's still what it was out there in the world, in the streets. And go back out there, done.
Yes.
You know? So I have.
That's a whole nother way, because one of my questions was going to be, how do you honor your sobriety on a daily basis? If you could tell us that in maybe like 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah. I honor my sobriety on a daily basis. This is something I've been doing probably for the last 25 years. Every morning when my feet hit the ground, I pray and I thank God for that day. Get out of my bed. I do, and I mentioned this to you, my morning routine, my morning meditation. I've been reading Our Daily Bread since 25 years ago I started. That's my part of my morning meditation. My music is crunked in my room. I get my praise on. And then I do the one thing, I make sure I do the one thing that I did the day before in order to honor my sobriety. I don't use no dope.
Yes. Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it. And I love you.
You know I love you, Gail.
Yes. This is the Gail Estella Survival Podcast. Tell us 3 things that has helped you to survive.
Wow. First thing I mentioned earlier, total surrender. Don't use no dope. And just stay strong in my faith. I may need to know, I'll leave it those 3. Total surrender, stay strong in my faith, stay in my word, keep God first, and don't use no dope.
I love it. Thank you, Mr. Beard.
Thank you, darling, for having me. My pleasure.